So again, as you can see, what we truly do here, man, is spread love. It's truly, us helping each other, giving the sights to the blind. You know what I'm saying, and doing God's work pretty much by helping you to be a better version of you. And the nature of the conversation in itself speaks for itself. So that's what makes me fucking like, I guess, as good as the fucking message. The whole idea of the cauldron, just so you guys know if you know anything about that. You know what I'm saying? So you as good as what's inside of you. But anyway, we're gonna be talking about the spiritual activation. So keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? Keep that in mind. Yeah, everything's said for everything. Yo, there's a purpose for everything. Even when you don't know it nor understand it. So, if you're coming back, you already know. Now, if this is your first time here, guys, as part of my process, I guess, just to give you a better understanding of myself, but most importantly of where I'm coming from and what this knowledge to me is all about, right? So, as a spiritual healer, my foundation, what where I get my understanding from, so I could share it with you today, is in spirituality. It's out of spirituality. So as a result, I always feel like it's necessary for me to let you know, or to summarize it briefly, at least from my perspective, what I think spirituality is. Because again, the spiritual activation, that's what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting you motherfuckers baptized, activated, ready to go. So, so I always take the liberty, and break it down a little bit. But anyway, let's get to it. So, what the fuck is spirituality, right? To me, simply put, is your life. And not to, because I guess in so many words I had already touched on it, but most importantly, this whole conversation is a reflection of that. So when we're talking about spirituality, this is your nature, your essence. When we strip everything away and to try and trying to have a better understanding of who we are as human beings, then you get down to, you truly being a living mind. Because, our interaction with wisdom and knowledge, what it does and how we see things, when you analyze us, the way, I mean, that's why, the Bible is saying that you are a reflection of God, or you were created at God's image. All of that makes sense. Because especially when it comes to us, and that's the difference between human being and what you would call animals, right? We have the ability, to grow, to think logically, to change our reality, to name shit. Oh, there's a whole understanding that comes with that. Because you can't name nothing that you don't know. But that's a whole different conversation. It just had to be said for the great listeners. You can't name nothing you don't know. Anyway, when you look at our essence, even in us believing in God, you see many people have different gods. They have different ways of living their lives, and that is based on what the actual description of what their God is. So in spirituality, it's not a belief system. We go beyond that. I mean, it's that and more, because spirituality pretty much embodies everything. So for most people, the misconception that they have about spirituality is that they say it's a belief system, right? You have your belief, I have my belief, and all of that. It goes beyond that. I mean, that's also another misconception when it comes to spirituality. And the biggest one, and that's like no matter how you, I mean, it really comes down to people don't see spirituality as part of their immediate life. Meaning you always look at it as something that's outside of you. righteously, you were actually trained to see it that way too. So it's not a coincidence there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just trying to get you to acknowledge it. So the reason why a lot of people have misconception or don't know what spirituality is, or you tend to look at it as something that's being outside of you, that's obviously you've been conditioned to think it that way, but because you don't see it in you, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the most part, your whole understanding of spirituality maybe like a Indian looking type of motherfucker walking around with the fucking towel wrapped around his ass. You know what I'm saying? Or for you, it could be just the monks. They dress as a certain way. But the bottom line here is that you see it as something that's not part of you, because you learn to identify with yourself only as the physical self, meaning you see yourself as dick and pussy, and that's what in the spiritual world, or as we understand our essence, we call it ignorance. And as you get to know yourself, it's not something that we are created about ourselves. It's something that you are. But again, we're going to be talking about the activation aspect of that. So I want you to keep that in mind. But for now, let's just make sure that I give you a solid understanding of what I believe spirituality is. So when you look at different religions, right, they have their different beliefs. But spirituality is embodies all of it because it gives you a better understanding of what you're looking at. For instance, right? Like if I were to tell you you act like your God, you may say whatever you want to say about me, right? But if you truly understand what I just told you, is listen, and that goes for everybody. What you see Christian do, well, that's what the Bible tells them to do. That's why if you truly understand that, like I always tell people, mythology is the highest form of mind control. See, our ancestors, we created mythology because we understand our essence. Your essence, like you need God and God needs you. The way you operate with your mind eye. That's why a man that knows better will do better. There's no excuses about that. And that knowing better is not just a knowledge of what is better. We're saying knowing anything, and I'll get into that. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Because when you really understand the way you operate, that's why they tell you change your mind or change your thinking, changing your life. And what this is referring here, it's not a thought or an idea. It's saying change your altogether way of understanding or increase it or understand a little bit better, then you will change your life. That's why you can only go as far as you can go. Sky's the limit. And that goes for everybody. And when you understand that, that's why the wise man tells you someone who says I can, he's right. And the one that says that I can't is both right. Because we understand the nature, it's on you. So whatever you say, go. Like I always tell people, like like when you choose your God, if I become a 7-day Adventist right now, my reality changes right now. Saturday, it has a whole different meaning than your Saturday. So my God, or my understanding of what God is creating my reality. And we also know it too. That's why you would say to another motherfucker, Yeah, if you're a Christian, why do you act this way? If you're talking about God, 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 why are you not a reflection of that? So I'm just saying that to say, subconsciously, you already know it. So what you're also saying to that person is, you talk about Christ, but you're not being like him. But what I need you to understand now, to be like him, you got to be like him. To reflect God, you got to see that God image in you. That's why everything starts with you. So again, this is spirituality here, dealing and embodying all of it. That's why a man of spirit or a man of God, I'm not limited to a fucking religion. I learn from all of them. Because ultimately I already understand, what to look for. Because those are tools to serve you. Like, you need God in your life. Yes, it makes you feel good. It helps you to explore a whole other aspect of your being. That's why we have faith. That's why we have integrity. It's in you. Isn't it not? But anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of this conversation here because we're going to have a good one tonight. But again, when it comes to spirituality, it's your regular life. Now, in spirituality, there's something called another part of spirituality that is now dealing with the practical knowledge of everything I just said. It's called the occult, or it's also called esoteric knowledge. Occult esoteric knowledge is dealing with the type of knowledge that goes beyond the surface. That's why, if you know anything about spirituality or the occult for that matter, some of the basic shit they will tell you, because the whole aspect of the occult is for you to deal with your dark side. Another way of saying this is for you to be in touch with the non physical aspect of you. When we say you have a subconscious mind, this is helping you, your conscious mind, to be aware of something else in you, which is a subconscious mind, to identify that. So you delving into your dark side. Again, the dark side, let me put it to you guys this way, right? And just so you guys understand it too. Because I guess as